I can't run regular in that car, it won't do it.
Yeah, well, you don't like to, but my pickup runs pretty good on regular, so we,
I run 49% if I could in my Suburban, but I can't.
when I had that diesel Freightliner, I was working out in Munson. And there was a place out there you could buy biodiesel.
Yeah.
I put a tank full of that in, why that truck didn't have power enough to get out of its own way. Yeah, it was terrible. So another guy was working there. And he was running 50-50, half that and half
Yeah.
regular diesel. But I said, Christ, this little cat hasn't got much power to start with. I can't afford to lose anything.
Alright, so it looks like I just gotta let a couple people into the meeting on Zoom.
What, you want to see yourself twice?
I think if there's anybody on, I can share my screen for these, the stuff that's at the front here. I don't like myself.
So our agenda today looks short, but there's a lot in there, there's a couple items. So I'm gonna hand over to Mike, who's gonna walk us. I think, Mike, do you want to start with the zoning analysis or the space needs conversation?
Yeah, let's start with just the way the agenda had it with the zoning analysis and I apologize because I didn't bring that with me. It's sitting on the printer now. And just. There's a lot of paper in front of you right now, and if people are okay with that, we'll continue with that. If you don't want paper, let me know and I won't print anything out for you in the future. Just out of respect.
I like it.
Yeah.
This is a paper town.
Yeah, I get it. I'm a paper guy myself, so. But I want to be respectful of others. So zoning analysis is there was no surprises there. The site is permittable. For the zoning regs, it's an allowed use. It is a site. Plan, hold on, so I'm getting the exact wording.
You're talking about the salt shed location.
The salt shed location, correct, because we don't have any other information at this point about another site, but a site plan review through the planning board. Is the way it would be permitted. There is a zone C for surface water, drinking water, which we'll have to follow. But right now we see no restrictions within that zone C that's gonna impact your operations. So no surprises there. Kind of keeping with the site work, if you will. We have a surveyor that is, he might have started today on site. He did?
Yeah, I saw him up there today.
Perfect, excellent.
So we'll be back probably tomorrow.
Okay, great. And then we have geotech exploration scheduled for it would be the Tuesday after Labor Day.
Oh,
Labor Day. And if that works for you, because we'll need some assistance with that. If that works with you, we'll keep that on the schedule. But I didn't want to commit that until I knew of your availability on that.
Tuesday, the,
Yeah,
what time? Early in the morning, I hope.
yeah,
I got a dentist appointment and this.
okay. Yeah, they'll get started. They'll work all day.
Okay.
I'm sure they'll be working all day.
Yeah.
So we'll get that scheduled. And the purpose with that is one of the biggest unknowns that you're gonna find right now is the subsurface conditions. And by taking that away and eliminating any contingencies.
So you're gonna do test boring is what that is?
Correct.
And
Yeah, well,
how many,
is
you find stuff, you're gonna check more, I know.
if we find stuff, we won't do it now. We're not gonna waste the time and the money. What we'll do is we'll get enough information that we can make some informed decisions that, hey, you're gonna need to come back, or we're gonna need to come back, or we got enough information. And what we'll also do at that same time is we'll do some test pits. Test pits are always helpful, and we'll, just kill two birds with one stone. The reason our geotechs like to do the test pits too is soil boring is just a 4-inch hole in the ground. We get a lot of information from it, necessary information, but it doesn't always tell the whole story. So, but we'll do that.
Good sense.
Yeah.
We have a lot of vehicles around or just one.
They're just gonna have one drill rig. Yeah. And, they can usually get like, I think 4 or 5 done in one day. So, and that should be enough. Yeah. And depending on how the building lays out in the end, we might have to come back. Most facilities are actually 2 days of drilling, so.
Okay.
Any questions on the site work to, how the site work is going? Any questions about the permitting? I don't think there's any surprises there. Okay, good. So let's talk about the space needs. So we did have a sit down with Adam and Dave and our architects, our senior architect, John Como. We went toward the facilities, talked about the needs, etc. And from that, we laid out what we see as the space needs. And those are in front of you. The multi-page sheet with starting at the purple on the binder side with the 11 by 17, that's the DPW, if you want to start with that one. Okay. Right here. Not that close.
As long as we don't bump heads, we're all right.
Now it's not even that bad.
Everyone else has one, right?
Good.
Okay. So John is on vacation today, so unfortunately he cannot be here. But if there's something I can't answer, I know he can. So if I don't have a response to you today, I'm not going to try to make something up, and I hope you'll appreciate that. So what you'll see is on the left-hand side, you can see we've broken out the areas by some categories, including admin and employee facilities, shops, vehicle maintenance, wash area, and vehicle storage. Does everybody see that? Okay. So starting with the admin employee area, what we have is we have a very small vestibule area. Vestibule is required by code, given the building size. There is, depending on how the building lays out, there's a chance that we might be able to eliminate that. It's 50 square feet. That's the smallest we can get it. But if we have spaces that open up directly into the offices and the employee spaces, we have to have that. You can see we have one office for the highway supervisor. We got a break room for the employees. We call that a muster room. It's a multi-purpose room. It's a place that they can take their breaks. It's a place that they can conduct training. It's a place that they can conduct meetings. So it's multi-purpose. It's nice because it's flexible. We do have a space for copy and mail and whatever else might come up. That's just basically counter space. And one thing I want to point out is you can see how these spaces could look. This isn't definite, but this is how we come up with spaces. These are each individual rooms. As you flip the pages, you can see what these spaces could look like. This is an iterative process that we go through. So what we'll do is we hear the needs, we lay it out to what it could be. And then once we finalize that we have the spaces right, the architects go through and they lay out the floor plan. And with that, what they can often do is they can find efficiencies in the adjacencies, and usually the space will come down. I'm not promising you that, but usually it can come down a little bit. Electrical room, cell data closet, those are both going to be necessary, as well as the plumbing and fire protection room. We have a unisex restroom with a shower stall, so there is a shower stall that's going to be required. This is just minimizing the spaces that you're going to need for toilets and locker spaces. So it's just one singular room.
This whole thing that you're talking now, this is gonna be shared with the fire department, right? Eventually,
So the way we're. That's a very good question. The way we're looking at it now is it's gonna be separate. Right, that's the way we're,
yeah, two buildings, but originally the plan was to make it one building with
Yeah.
a fire on one end and highway on the other. Now, you're not figuring on building two sets of lavatories and all that.
so we haven't gotten to that point yet, right? So what we wanna do is we wanna look at what the space needs are. And then what we'll do is we'll recognize that there's efficiencies as we bring these together. So you're not gonna need two electrical rooms, you're not gonna need two mechanical rooms. If we're able to bring these spaces together. Then we can consolidate some of those spaces, so you don't have duplicate spaces, so we can reduce that program.
We also need the space needs.
Hmm?
We also need to know our space needs to see if it will, if a building like that could actually fit
Hmm.
at the whole highway garage too.
Is there a reason why in the square foot section, some of these things are listed as zeros, but over on that dimensions?
Yes. Yep, that's a very good question too. So what we did is we tried to look at spaces that we could reduce the space needs. And we always, these are high volume spaces, just because of the sheer nature of the work that they're doing. So they're high volume, so we try to capture that along the walls and we build a mezzanine. So it's like a second level, but it's not a second floor. So it's a second level, and we try to put up there whatever we can. So some of the things that you see is zero.
So they'd be like a second floor.
Exactly, tire storage is a great spot. I say it's a great spot. It's something that we see a lot of towns doing. They move their tires up there. You might say doesn't sound like a good idea because they're so heavy, but it takes up a lot of floor space, those tires do, and you don't always use them. So if you're able to get them up to the second floor through either forklifts or through a bridge crane, that is a great savings of floor space. As well as hydraulic hose area and the compressor room. Compressor room is, you know, it's great to get that up off the floor and out of the way. It's a noisy space, so putting that up on the mezzanine is also a great use of that space. If we have more space up there, we'll try to take advantage of that. We put data closets and electric stuff up there as well. If we can do that, we can mechanical stuff. But where this is such a small program, I don't know how much mezzanine space that will have. It will be limited to that mezzanine space, right? Because you can only take, by code, you can only take so much of that area and use it as floor space. In terms of the shops, we have sign storage area. That's the, you know, the town has signs that they store and they manufacture and they assemble before implementation. You can see that is up on the mezzanine as well. And you got highway material and tool storage area. So if you go into, if you tour that facility, you'll see there's a number of, you know, cones and other things taking up space, and we can get that all up on the second floor. I'll get that in the shop area. That's great. So what we also have is, you can see the maintenance bays, the vehicle maintenance area. We have a maintenance bay and we have a welding bay. You got your highway shop, that's like a lot of the assembly area. If you go into this space now, you'll see that built into their floor. So even though we're listing it separately, it could in theory be in the same floor space, if you will. But we want to make sure that we account for it. Fluid storage area. And we talked about the tire storage, hydraulic hose, mezzanine, compressor room. We also have a wash bay in the equipment room. And we got vehicle storage. Now, if you look at the vehicle storage, that's on the 11 by 17. What we've been coming for is all that we've seen out there for vehicles and equipment. And you can see we have a number of stuff inside, but we didn't fit everything within the inside the building. And we've had conversations with Dave about what might be acceptable to be left outside. So you can see there's some stuff that's outside the building under canopy storage is how we show it. And a listing of that equipment is all up above.
I have another question. This is general, but it shows a loader being stored outside, the grader stored inside. I myself would rather see the loader stored inside and the grader outside, because you need to depend on that loader a lot more than you do the grader in the winter time.
Dave, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that one,
Yeah, I would definitely prefer to have it inside.
and what about the grader?
It'd be nice to have it inside, but if it's under these, if it's under a roof, away from the sunlight and everything else, you know, that's not an issue.
That you can keep it plugged in the winter, can't you, Ed?
And actually, now that I'm looking at this, it looks like we have a typo on here, or there was an adjustment on here. Because if you look at the grader number 4, it's shown in the figure as number 4. But it's listed as being under just covered storage.
Oh, either way, it'll be either inside or outside. I mean,
It'll be under-
there's there's gonna be enough room inside, if we were to pull that out and put the grader outside.
Okay. Can you do me a favor and just look through this list, or you can go through it with John when he returns?
Yeah.
And just make sure that we have what's going inside, what's going outside.
Yeah.
Properly accounted for. Okay.
Yeah. There's some changes.
Okay. Yeah, something's not adding up, something must have changed in here, but yeah, we'll go through it. Okay. All right, any questions on the highway then?
So for my benefit, the total DPW. That's highway only,
That is highway only.
and is this 2 buildings?
So right now, we're looking at highway and fire as 2.
No. This picture here,
Yep,
this is vehicle storage only, right?
correct. So what we
So where's the office in the one?
that is, so what we try to do is we try to identify every space that's gonna be inside that building, every room that's gonna be inside that building. And what we do is we draw that room out separately, so we can account for it. And then once we come to a determination, once we confirm with you folks, Dave and Adam, what we do is then we will lay out the floor plan that goes with it.
So initially, we're not gonna see any of those things combined. On floor plan.
And the floor plan does, it helps, right? If you can imagine what that is, we're all visual people, right? So looking at these spaces like this is okay, but it's not giving you the full picture, right? And what we'll see happen as we go through it and as we lay out that floor plan, what you'll probably see is that, oh my goodness, I don't need this space, or hey, we forgot this space. So that will be another level of the checks and balances that we like to see.
So looking at this on the right side where you got 13, 18 of those.
Yeah.
That'll be open storage, is that the way I'm getting it, or
That is canopy storage,
Okay.
correct? Yep, correct. Yep,
just want to double check, I'm
Yep.
100% sure.
yeah. So, yeah, just so I can say it again, I don't know if that was clear. The way we find this to be most beneficial is we make this an iterative process, is what it is. We try to look at the spaces individually. We hear that you need, a work area. We hear that you need storage. We hear you need a bathroom. We try to look at those spaces individually at first. And then when they come, then eventually they're gonna come together onto one comprehensive floor plan.
Yeah, I understand, we just want to be. We need a bathroom this size, either room this size, and see how it all fits into the scheme of the
Exactly.
building itself.
Yeah.
We need to make some of them smaller, maybe a little bit bigger.
So what's the total square foot? Is it the 6,500?
No, total square footage is
That's fire station.
12,997.
Storage.
Right here, the bottom number right here, 12,997.
Fleet storage, yes, is 6,500.
Yeah.
The rest of the rest of the.
That's the, yeah, I got that. Well,
The vehicle storage is 68, but then when you add up the extra space, you come to the, well, outside and
13,000 almost. When the garage is out for storage, warm storage is 65, 66, correct?
Correct, yeah. We add in what we call like a area grossing factor. There's not a circulation factor in the vehicle storage. It's just the wall space and other inefficiencies that might come up. That's an allowance. So like I said, when our architects actually lay out the floor plan, they're usually able to identify other efficiencies. And that square footage usually comes down a little bit.
Yeah, I can't imagine having like two separate jackets and.
No, it doesn't make any sense, right? If
we're
we're able to get one facility, so I guess the way we're thinking of this is. We don't know how this is gonna come together, right? We don't know if we're getting one facility, we don't know if DPW is gonna happen. We don't know if it's gonna be an add-on to the space, but. So we wanna look at it right now as two separate spaces. And then if we make a determination that, hey, this is gonna be one facility, it's gonna be built together. Then we take it one way. If we say, we don't know if highway's ever gonna happen, then we take it another way. If we hear it's gonna be a phased approach, then we'll take that approach, so. But we wanna first identify what are the needs.
So does this need sprinklers or no? It's under 7,000 square feet, so it doesn't need a sprinkler system. Is that not correct?
That is, I'm gonna let John answer that for you. I don't think that's 100% correct, because I think there's also some use factors that might come into play there.
Because I looked it up on the internet. As good
the
as-
thing is,
Just
Jeff,
cur- Just asking.
Yeah.
that's all.
given its location. I think a sprinkler system would be good insurance.
Well, if we pay our insurance on time, it's on.
Yeah, well,
And that's something that the town's gonna have to think about, right? Like
I mean,
you're
you're looking
investing,
at what, 500,000-600,000 for a sprinkler system?
you're looking, well. I don't know if it's gonna be that
Pretty
much,
sure.
but
Yeah, what's that?
yeah, but
about the water.
It-
Pipe that has to go in.
Well, that's another problem. The water main, right? Does it have to be a certain size? We don't have a water main that big.
We talked about that last
Right.
week at our last meeting. And if that's the case, if there's not adequate pipe size, rather than replace the pipe. We put in a cast in place underground tank,
A what?
a cast in place
Oh,
underground. tank.
yeah,
For storage.
Storage.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like a
Busy,
little- a little
save
bit.
$1 million. No, from putting in a,
Yeah, well, that's why I'm concerned about that, because I know it's only 4 inch there.
right,
Yeah,
And I believe the sprinkler code says you will have a main 6 inch face of the system.
Well, I think the new state code for water mains. They can't put in anything new under 8 inches.
Right,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So then, and that even makes it bigger then, right?
Yeah.
But you're supposed to supply a 6 inch to that sprinkler system.
If I'm not mistaken, even the people that live up there have like little holding tanks, because they don't get enough pressure into it.
Really?
yeah, and that's not uncommon in some. Other places that we go to, it's not uncommon, and the cistern is by far a much cheaper option than. Some of the other alternatives, so it should be a relatively cost effective option for the town.
Sprinkler system, I know it's gonna be expensive, $500,000 sounds way too much, way too much, what do you think it really is?
Oh, my goodness.
that's a tough.
Well,
My guess is as good as this.
I can give you, we've opened a couple bids lately, and within there, we should have that price, a unit price that I can give to you.
That's a dry system or a wet system?
It's a combination. It's a combination. So typically what we would do is we would do a dry system in the vehicle storage area. Because those garage bay doors are very vulnerable if they're
Yes.
open.
Yes.
So we usually make those a dry system, but in the office areas, we make that a wet system.
I'm trying to find out now.
But like I said, we're opening a couple bids, in these next couple of weeks that we should get a better handle on where that pricing's coming in right now.
Yeah.
And right now is kind of the key, right? It's right now what we're seeing is the market is so saturated with work and people are busy. We actually just opened a bid and there was no HVAC contractors.
We just opened one, and we only got 2 general contractors.
Yeah,
You would think that there'd be people coming out of woodwork,
yeah.
2 general contractors out of $15 million project.
It's crazy, absolutely crazy. But when you have project bids. I mean, the chances of you having the same economy is slim, I hope.
What's the price of building materials doing now?
Of course, we all know it went through the roof. Well, and then it came down and people go, wow, it's coming down, it's coming down, but. It's minimal.
Just little bits.
So,
You know, it went up 200%, it's coming down, it only came down 5. You know, so. So I mean, it came down more, not exaggerating, but it's
Yeah,
not much.
well, the cost of labor is high. The cost of labor is high and there's a lot of uncertainty. So there's still material backup in terms of delivery time. And that uncertainty leads to higher prices, unfortunately.
cost of labor is gonna be higher every year.
It's not gonna get cheaper, is it?
No,
Yeah. So, but we'll be able to make a determination on if a sprinkler system is required. That's all gonna be part of this document in the end. We're gonna be able to tell you it's required for this reason or it's not required. And if it's not required, it's gonna be a decision for you folks to make. You're buying this building for the next 50+ years. And how old's your facility now?
47,
Is it only 47?
1947.
the highway garage is 1947.
That makes it stall. I was like, what?
You can make 75
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, so we planned for 50
It's
years, but
way-
the reality of the situation is your building's gonna be there much longer. And you wanna protect, you may wanna protect your assets. Is the way, you know, you should be thinking about it today. You should be thinking about it 50 years down the road.
I won't be here.
Good, good.
Just being honest.
Yeah. I won't be here either. Well, I know.
Kim is looking up the
Okay,
cost.
all right, good. So moving on to the fire department. In orange there.
People in their staple.
So again, we have a vestibule, we have the watch room, this is all part of the original programming too. We get the fire chief's office. We get a day room, kitchenette with radio area. We get an equipment closet. With gear storage and lockers. You get your parts and tool storage. And again, you have your electrical room, tel data closet, plumbing, fire protection room. You have male and female restrooms and showers. You get your turnout gear and decontamination room. You have your SCBA with compressor. And then you get your vehicle storage or your apparatus bays.
Do we need a watch room?
I don't think so. I think
That, we're a volunteer department. So if you put the radios in the day room, it eliminates the need of a watch room.
Yeah, perfect. We can get rid of that then. And then within the space, we found a program, and once you add your grossing factor and your circulation, we're at 9,900 square feet. And have you guys went through these spaces, I think, right, Adam and Dave?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you have any other changes, but, and, you know, if you can take a look at it, continue to look at it. What we want to make sure is as we go through the concepts that we have this close, it doesn't have to be final. You know, we understand as we lay out the floor spaces, you might see spaces that you may say, we forgot this or we need this. And we can add or delete at that point in time. But we want to make sure that we get this as close as possible for the layouts.
Right.
So that, you know, we can build upon that.
I've got a question on that UTV room. Yeah, number 4 there, Adam. Does that include putting the UTV in on a trailer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Many useless without it.
Who knows? I don't know.
No, but.
I agree, but I just gotta. ask.
I didn't know either, so that was gonna be my
Yeah,
question.
Perfect, same great minds.
Can I ask a really picky question? Why is the fire chief's office bigger than the highway supervisor's office?
This is part-time.
It's illogical.
That was a joke.
Oh,
Well,
yes, I kind of thought that.
I thought so, I thought you would. Well, let's cut that down. We don't need any room for the chief to hang around in.
It just, they look like exactly the same office.
They actually do look the same. I just look,
What am I missing?
yeah.
Same chairs, same credentials, same everything. And you're really gonna have carpet tile in the highway office? Huh? With your greasy boots, are you? Are you kidding?
So we haven't, you know, we put that in as a placeholder for now. That all gets worked out. That all gets worked out as we move forward, right? But we have a very mixed finish on that, depending on who you talk to, right? The office space with the carpet tile is a lot different acoustically and than it is if it's a hard tile. So it really makes a difference to that space. And
You can also do something on the walls to treat that.
you can, yeah,
Ceiling
And it
tile,
doesn't
too,
get all
before you
greasy.
ceiling tile,
yep,
Keep it really.
And it's
flat.
not just for the highway, it would be applied to both offices.
yeah. So that's stuff that we're gonna talk about before we end up pricing this out, right? We'll be talking about what those finishes are in each of those spaces, because that's all gonna come into our end goal here in obtaining that cost estimate.
What about this
oh.
kitchenette and the fire station?
Oh, hold on, one other thing, just sticking with that. The nice thing, the reason we do those squares. Carpet tiles is because they're easily replaced, right? You get, you know, if they get muddy, you know, you tear one up and put a new one down, so. So they do have that advantage.
We put those in our old office and they were tough, believe it, and we had oil companies, so you know how,
Yeah,
and they actually worked out pretty good.
right,
I was skeptical at first, but they really did work pretty good.
I was just curious about, there's a kitchenette in the fire station, but not the highway. It
Yep.
just seems kind of weird because the highway's full time, if anybody's gonna use it.
Actually, I think the fire.
There was one. Yeah, there is one to get fired.
And that would potentially be shared space.
it could potentially be a shared space.
Yeah, that's the buffer zone. The highway is that's a kitchen.
Oh, okay.
So you were asking, I was just opening up this page, so you were asking, there's one in the fire, but not in the highway, right? So Christopher, I think you just.
Maybe it's just a
said it.
bit of detail, like it has an oven and a microwave.
Yeah, it's the muster room, it's got the sink and the.
Oh, okay.
So we call it a muster because it's a multi-purpose space, yeah, so. One of them is that kitchenette or that break room.
So we talk about TVs at another time too.
I'm trying. to
We do, usually at this stage for what we're doing, we talk about, are you joking with me?
Well, no, it's just,
So we do usually put TVs in these spaces. Most towns will actually do that because storm events, right? Your folks are here. in an emergency event and you want to know what's going on. So we usually do have TVs and.
Widescreen TV.
Yeah.
What size of that whiteboard, Paul?
You can sit in the back and see it.
Yeah. At the very least, what we would do is we would wire it up in case you want to put that in. It's,
And it's also nice to have for trainings, you know, for classes and everything else that we are.
Yeah, the same with the fire building. A lot of our classes are run on a TV screen.
Yeah.
Well, you just got a wall mounted when highway got the widescreen, but it's okay. Yeah, I'm too picky. Go ahead.
I don't think we made that decision yet.
I think the fire chief's got one, but I don't see one for the highway box.
We had a massage chair coming in.
It's take up for yourself, Dave.
So, any questions? You guys are gonna continue to look at this.
Yes.
And we want to make any significant changes, you know, before we jump into the concepts.
Have you picked a heating source, what you're gonna do, or any, has that been just,
That has not been discussed, but that is gonna be discussed,
I
right?
wanna be there somehow or there.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, because that's your background. That's great.
You're talking about heat? On this, on F6,
On which one, on the fire?
yeah, and the highway too. It says radiant floor heat and floor drains and that kind of stuff. So it is covered.
Well, that's just for the vehicle base, what's needed, but yeah.
Yeah, the rest of us, I thought was gonna be like those hanging gas heaters.
That's just so you know, we haven't worked through this yet, right? That's just a placeholder that we'll
There
fill in
those-
as we move
What
forward.
the hell do they call them? Their ACs and heat too?
We don't do
Mini splits.
Mini split, yeah.
radiant floor heat is great for like vehicle maintenance. Space radiant floor heat. It's
Oh,
great,
yeah, if the guy's gonna lay under a truck, you don't wanna freeze to death. I know, been there, done that.
but when it's also very efficient because every time you open those doors and they're large doors, you know, all the heat that's been built up vacates. Now, if that floor slab is heated to a certain temperature, it brings that room back up in temperature a lot quicker.
Another reason for facing those garage doors to the east.
Yeah,
Get
yeah,
all the sun you can get.
yep, yeah. But those are the details that we're gonna work out. We're not gonna design those systems yet, but we wanna know, you know, what do you want in these spaces? And our HVAC engineer will work with you. So, so we can identify what's gonna be the most cost effective for the town's needs. And it might be, you know, you might say, no, we want the bare minimum. You might say, no, we're looking for, 10-year payment. We can help you identify that. And that's all gonna go into the cost estimate that we do.
If you go to Ashfield DPW, Ashfield has a heated slab, and the last one I built in
Sandersfield has it too.
Senior
Sandersfield has a heated floor.
Great Barrington has it in their fire station. They actually hold their town meetings there.
Yeah.
They hold trucks.
What did West Hampton, did they put floor heat in?
I wasn't involved at that time.
Yeah, I know.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're-
Good not to be involved.
That was a good one to be away from.
Yeah.
So, so what we'll do is we're gonna start, working towards the concepts. As we finalize these space needs, we're gonna start working towards these concepts. The question is, do we have any guidance on, should we be looking at one facility, one building?
Well, we found out that it's pretty well cost prohibitive to try and put us up where the highway is now.
Wasn't it promised at the town meeting that there would be multiple things?
Yeah, I think we need, I do think we still should do a sizing.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
see if it's even. I don't know.
yeah, if we go in there
Physically
with,
possible to put a building of,
if we go in there with
1,000
some
square
kind of
feet
a
there.
plan for that, we might walk out with our heads on our shoulders.
So,
What's that? Your building?
Yeah. Was it like 67,000?
No, 60s, no, it's 37,000, yeah, 3,700 square feet,
Yeah,
that's all your building is.
There you go. That's
Well, yeah,
only about 42.
It's 40 by 40 by 70, 46 by 7, I forget now, but I didn't make it.
so,
if I measured it 2 days ago, it's too late.
but,
so
so
it might not be
you,
possible, but I think we should know that it's not possible.
you're absolutely right. I completely forgot. I'm just getting back from vacation. I apologize. So, that is right. We did say that we were gonna do, multiple options and one at the highway. Yeah.
I think at this point, after sitting through town meeting, I think we've got to give them options. I don't think we have any choice.
Yep.
Possibly, even if it's gonna cost more, they're gonna want to keep the fire station closer to the center of town.
Mhm.
Well, close than,
Hmm?
than the salt shed
Yeah.
site.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a pretty tough thing for a lot of people to swallow.
Yep.
Having to drive all the way up there and then all the way back down here.
Almost every town you go to, the fire station's in the center of town,
I know it,
and I think
it's convenient if it can be done.
if it can, I don't think there's enough room to build a building that big there. For the ledge and stuff.
Well, there was a 24-foot addition going on there. The thing,
Towards Otis Road,
yeah. And the thing is. Where are they gonna put that crossover if they're gonna change the end of?
that's ignorant, that's besides the point, I won't say any more on it.
So I just pulled up the map there, just, I know it's hard to see, so that's the current highway building. I know it's very difficult to read that, but I tried to draw a little square or rectangle over it. About the square footage that we're looking at for the fire space,
It's at 9,177
Yeah.
square feet.
yeah,
So
so
property wise.
let's see if I can. Yeah, can you see that any better?
There you go,
Yeah.
now you can see it.
Yeah, so this is even, the square I drew is even a little bit small, but obviously it's pretty tight. That's not the full size.
Even that would be.
The other
just a
thing is-
square.
Nobody wants to listen, but they could cut that. Into that triangle back out at by the historical building. They could cut that back so a guy could make a. Right-hand turn and see what's coming. That's what I do anyway.
Have you ever remember an accident there, Tom?
Hmm?
And how many accidents have been on that road on North Blanford?
That has been.
One.
At the intersection,
Yeah.
there's been a few. They're not, nothing serious enough to make anybody.
Well, they took that blinking yellow light down is what they should have done as far as I'm concerned, because it doesn't slow anybody down there.
I think that was the biggest mistake they made.
But anyways, that's another problem in itself, but no, I agree.
But yeah, so we'll want some kind of proving out.
Yep.
Okay, this probably won't work. here.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yep, we can do that.
The area behind it, that's someone else's property, correct?
Oh, yeah.
2.28 acres.
Is that Hanson? Well, the old Hanson behind there, behind the town hall shed rather? Is that Kurt Hanson's
So
old
it's
property
behind
that
the
goes up
house.
there? Behind the,
That's pretty wet. And see, we had to build such a big leach field for the highway garage because of that. We haven't got any room back there now.
holding thing here.
Yeah, I've thought of that too, but.
Other things we need to go over.
No, I don't think at this point in time, we'll, next time we meet, we'll have some concepts for. for discussion. I might have some. I might have the survey done by then. We won't have any geotech exploration stuff at that point in time.
Is it possible that when you do that, they'll come back unsuitable, or is it kind of just a formality?
No, there's a very good chance of that. Yeah, and there is. And, but with that, what we'll be able to do is identify, okay, how do we make it suitable, right? And there's a couple different ways. We'll look for the most cost effective way for this town and based on this situation. Sometimes if it's very shallow, it's over excavate and replace. If it's something deeper, then we'll probably look for some type of alternative method, whether it's we use, BFH, hammer,
In the back of a big excavator, pop it, maybe if it's shallow, I don't know what stones up there, but.
What's that?
We
A
we do
jackhammer on the
compact
back of an excavator
rigid,
might have to break
back
that
at columns.
because that salt sheds a pin into the
But
ledge.
that's just for.
Yeah, I know it is.
It's
I don't know how far down.
But if they hit ledge up there, if it's hard ledge, they can drill and pin that.
It is, yeah.
If it's that shaly stuff, they bring in a big machine and
Gotta come up.
tear it out of there.
Really quick, the other thing that I'm working on while Mike is doing his thing is, I'm having a meeting with Pioneer Valley Planning Commission next week. We're looking at community development block grants as an opportunity to fund part of this project, that you fund horizontal and vertical construction for public, facilities in some cases. There's some stipulations around that, so we'll have to kind of navigate that, but Mike, I don't know if you've ever worked on any projects that use that, or.
No, I haven't worked on that. No, I haven't, but have you talked to your congressman about
No, we haven't reached out to the congressman.
so essentially what they'll probably do is they'll probably identify a couple and they'll say, talk to they'll give you a department to talk to and there's money out there. They want to help you. It's not great chunks of money, but anything helps. So they'll identify, hey, try this, try that, and they'll be able to flag some stuff for you. So we can help you through that process.
Okay, yeah, so the other thing is, so the USDA has they have a grant program and they have a loan program that we've looked at, and they also have a grant program, and the grant program is specific to pieces of equipment within those facilities. So something like the fuel island or something like the cistern might be something we can kind of break off and actually just fully grant fund that way, so. So yeah, we'll see, we have some other options. Any other thoughts from anyone before we adjourn for the moment? So we should probably figure out when we're meeting next with this committee.
I think we gotta study this.
Yeah, people need to probably digest this a little bit. We all right with convening after Labor Day, or is that too long?
Well, maybe if we wait this, when did you think they're gonna do the boring, the day after?
They're gonna
How
do
about
it
it?
on the fifth.
Yeah, so,
We'll have information on the fifth. We'll have our fields.
so if we had it after the fifth, it would probably make more sense than not,
5th of September.
yeah.
How long after you have that, are you able to present on,
On what, on the.
you have that information?
You said that day.
So we'll have the field information that I can verbally convey. I won't have anything final, but I could be able to say. Yeah, no, there's a peat layer at this depth. Oh, there's boulders. Oh, the soil's all variable, you
I can
know.
guarantee there's boulders. Wouldn't be Blanford without them.
Let's. Yeah, well, we could either do. Let's say either the 7th or the 11th, because we might end up holding a select board meeting on Thursday, the 7th.
The 11th is good.
Either one.
Let's put the 11th.
Okay,
Yeah, if you move the select board meeting, just map us to like.
I just clarify, when you say go through all of this. How detailed are we supposed to go through all this picky like me or? Or what, overview,
So
what am I looking at?
what I think, what I think would be helpful is I think, I would like you to be comfortable with it. So if you have questions on the spaces or you think it's too much, I want you to comment on that. And then we can work to find ways to reduce or to get it to what you think is appropriate.
So we're talking about space only,
Space only.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
after.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm after.
Yeah,
And we should be looking at it as two separate buildings for now, with potentially one, because that makes it a little hard to be okay with the space.
Yeah, that's what,
Right,
that's what you had mentioned earlier, that. That's too far for the fire department. Well, we're putting a lot of effort in here with boilers and. Yeah, how far are we gonna go with that? What cost was.
So. Go ahead, sorry.
what I was gonna say is I think it should prove out pretty, you know. Quickly whether it's gonna work or whether it's not gonna work, and I think. The cost part is probably not gonna be, let's say it can work on both sites. It's probably not gonna be a big effort.
So, okay, so
What we won't have is we won't have geotechnical information.
I think when you map out the size of the building, I think it's gonna rule itself out without some sort of major change to that, like, I think just the layout is gonna be problematic. I think that's my.
so we're leaning towards two buildings.
I don't do this for a living, there's guys that do, but to me, when you have just simple math exercise, doesn't seem like it works, even Chris's super basic rectangle thing, like, I think you end up you end up with a physics problem.
oh, I thought you were talking about the salt shed.
No.
No, yeah,
Oh,
no,
okay.
yeah, I think there's, sorry, yeah, there's room at the salt, I think highway ground is probably gonna, I think we're gonna find like this.
How big is that parcel up there? Anybody know?
Where are you?
It's 5 acres.
Salt shed?
Yeah,
5
5
acres, and then we've got actually adjacent to it, there's an old water tank. Too old for our
Yeah.
purposes, unfortunately.
I was just wondering how many square feet you could put on that, but it's 5 acres, so that shouldn't be a problem.
More than that,
I don't.
I think it's
That one
14.
thing's- that one thing's not used.
Yeah, it's.
It hasn't been in-
Yeah, because when Bill gave it to the town,
Yeah.
It's good to know there's town owned property there, though.
Yeah, good to know.
Yeah.
All right, so let's aim for the 11th then.
okay,
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. All right.
We're good?
Thank you.
Thanks.
you get an hour or so when you can, give me a call.
Okay.
And we'll sit down and go over this.